Hey, what's going on guys? It's SoaR Dazs here. Today I want to cover an important topic of monitors' response time, resolution, and quick notes of various monitors and their strong suits. This is to give advice on monitors to pick, not exactly brands. I'll leave that up to you. This is all about specs and going in depth and learning. Remember, some of these decisions seem like common sense, but it's always good to know the basis and go back to the roots to make better informed decisions on what you're trying to do to become a better gamer overall. I'm going to do a mix of high level and detailed description, and of course if you want more details, hit me up in the comment section and I'll make another video going further into the rabbit hole of this massive discussion topic. Let us cover the console side of things, as I believe this helps us create a solid foundation of why monitor choice is absolutely essential to what you want to achieve. Never should you game on a regular TV monitor if you're searching for that competitive edge. TV monitors inherently have a slower response time and are not designed for low input latency. What does this mean? It means if your television is not set to gaming mode, you are making a huge mistake. Some flat screens that are 4K are beautiful, but can have latency above 100 milliseconds when they are not set to gaming mode, of course. Gaming mode lowers that time down to at least 10 milliseconds on a standard TV panel. An example of that would be the Samsung NU7100, which is extremely large but expensive 4K television. Outside of gaming mode, it can have a latency of up to 76 milliseconds, and when gaming mode, it is set to 13 milliseconds. Realize just how much lag that is creating when split-second decision making is really needed. Note that in a gaming monitor, or setting to gaming mode, the color monitor will look different, in some cases really wash out the color. So you really need to make a decision if you're playing on a console and have a really nice, gorgeous, beautiful TV. Yeah, it'll have a beautiful picture, but you'll have that input lag. This lag in perspective, let's put in perspective. If you have 50 milliseconds in game just from online latency, you add another 100 from the lag of your TV set, you're adding a total of 150 milliseconds input latency. The key is to ensure input lag is as minimal as possible. While these numbers are not exact, because obviously there are many factors to consider, this is just an example of just how detrimental it can really be to your overall gameplay. If you have a gaming setting on your TV, I still would recommend buying an individual monitor for gaming. And why? Because the latency of a monitor can jump down to 1 ms, which is massive in terms of response time. Now next, this is where we get more complicated. Let's discuss the two types of panels, the most popular ones for monitors: TN panel and IPS panel. There are other panels, but I'll cover the most common and popular. Unfortunately, when deciding the type of monitor you want, you can't really have the best of both worlds, even when it does exist. It's going to cost up a lot of coin as we bridge the gap. So let us start with a TN panel. A TN panel gives us the fastest response time, gray to gray or black to white in most cases. The downside? The color reproduction is not as good as an IPS panel. Now, the same thing with the IPS panel. The upside is that you get that more accurate color representation and richer blacks. This is the type of panel that is best for, editing or movies and things like that, but the response time is going to be a tad slower. So currently, the lower response time, the worse picture quality, and the better the picture quality, the worse the response time. Got it? Okay. An example is the Asus 1440p monitor that is IPS and 165 Hz with 4 millisecond response time, versus a BenQ 1080p 240Hz monitor with 1 millisecond response time. I own both of these monitors and I gamed extensively on both for years. They are amazing in their own rights. Let's start off with the better picture quality, the 1440p monitor. This monitor has a rich color and a 1440p display, and it's gorgeous. The 165 Hz is magical and the response time is decent. Versus the BenQ that has just a stellar response time and definitely has washed out colors. Just a fact for the matter that these colors on a TN panel, when looking at shades of color that blends, it'll have like a weird aura effect. I think you probably have already seen that type before. If not, you can definitely look it up online. Of course, with a TN panel, they are improving quite a bit over the years. So a TN panel, if you calibrate the colors, can match a bit more of an IPS, maybe like an older IPS panel. But just so you know, it's definitely going to take some of that legwork to make sure the colors outside of the box of a monitor look better. IPS is better for editing, gaming, and watching movies. And then I would say TN panels are strictly for gaming. Another con to TN panels is that it does have worse viewing angles. This is less of a problem for newer TN panels, but older TN panels, if you move one side to the left or too far up, down, then the screen will kind of go into more of a black color. So again, what is the key difference? Well, now we go even further down the rabbit hole. Monitors of this caliber, their biggest difference is how they handle moving objects and how they blur. This is more or less sometimes how an object can ghost or inverse ghosting. The reality is of how sensitive you are to this. Even older TN panels are worse than some of the new IPS because of the gray to gray. So gray to gray is a time it takes a pixel on a panel to change from gray to white, then back to gray. This time is typically a shorter time than other scales, hence why they use it. It's a marketing thing. Some manufacturers list it as also black to white, and black to white takes the longest. So this is something to really consider, especially with IPS panels, since black is an extremely rich color, and some TN panels will boast this, but then their black to white is typically not as good. Like I said, it's a rabbit hole of information. Just because someone claims 1 ms does not mean it is a true 1 millisecond time frame. Sometimes you sacrifice blur and clarity for that 1 ms response time. There is a new LG IPS panel that boasts 1 millisecond response time. While it is 1 ms, the problem is ghosting. It just looks like crap when you actually have the true 1 millisecond response time. Ghosting is an effect, obviously, to kind of just explain it briefly, is where a fast moving object is going across the screen and the colors where the object was previously is still in transition from that black to white. It's because, of course, it's blending. It's still changing. Now let us discuss the resolution. The amount of pixels can really affect the gray to gray or black to black response time because there's just more going on the screen. There's more pixels. There's a lot more to change, so it takes a lot more power, a lot more energy, and it takes more time naturally. I mean, there will come a day, and we're getting closer to that day where you're not going to have to sacrifice color and clarity for response time, but we're not quite there yet. I personally adjusted very quickly when playing from 1440p to 1080p. It does not change your aim in game or on console, but it does change that input lag, latency, and overall image quality. That's what you feel most when you game. Another trade-off is on 1440p, you'll be able to make out smaller pixels, but the objects will obviously appear much smaller on the screen. You can see that as an example on your desktop versus 1080p versus 1440p. But this is honestly subjective. I mean, I leave this to you as a viewer because I gamed heavily on 1440p and 1080p. The thing that mattered most to me was ghosting and response time, and it's really why I game on 1080p, 240Hz, and 1 ms, where every millisecond matters and you train hard to get that edge. So console peeps, let's recap on this. Get rid of the TV monitor, please. Go set it up to gaming mode. In the long run, you're going to thank me, and it's going to make a huge difference in any game. Fighting games, first-person shooters, anything that has any sort of time as a factor. PC players, learn what you want in a monitor. What is important to you? You want color and clarity, or do you want images when they move and response time? So you're going to have to make a decision. You can bridge the gap, but the more you do so, and the closer the gap gets, the more expensive it's going to be, unfortunately. You can strike that balance. There are rumors also surfacing of a monitor that going down to 0.5 response time and an IPS panel possibly coming down to 2 ms. You know, like the LG panel has 1 ms and there's kind of like a bit of a blur there. Those are rumors. I'm not 100% sure. This gap is bridging so much that we're going to get to the point of diminishing returns where people are just going to go right in the middle because then you're going to get the best of both worlds of everything. So obviously things will become more important, like ghosting, inverse ghosting, and color clarity. Because again, going from white to black is truly what takes the longest and what really matters. But it's just one of many reasons. If this video helped you out, I know there's so much information here, and I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this info, and I hope it really helped you. Again, if you want me to delve further into any of these topics, I'm more than happy to. Heck, I can go more in depth talking about my monitors I own, but it's clear we need more videos, and I've already taken up a lot of your time. So thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.